Okay, so let's do our last item for this first due date, which is the hello world. Now, this is termed current topics. I wouldn't necessarily say it correctly falls into here. This is going to definitely feel more like a hands on assignment. But because of the course organization, I kept this because it's current. Let's actually say hello to everyone. Oh, before I left that page, so let me go back. I wanted to show you that this view that I have now showing is for the view I have. So as I've been submitting work, I see it. So every morning I wake up, unless something happens, and I grade whatever work is submitted. But I want you to know that if items require replies, which the last one did, I will not grade it until all the replies are done because it is part of the grading. So just know that if you want this work graded before the due date, because if you don't hit a reply as required on this one, then you will lose points. I will grade it when it's due, but if you do all the work before the due date, I'll grade it as soon as I see it. Okay, so I just wanted you to see that, and I'm going to switch now to the view that you will have when you're working on this assignment because we can see we're down to the last item. Now, I don't have week 2 available, partly because I'm working on this before the start of the semester. I will have that soon, but you will see the grayed out version or week 1, week 2 that you saw when you finished week 0. So just know that that's the pattern. So let's look at this. So hello world is kind of a common thing we do in any kind of coding class, but in this case, we're not coding it. We're actually going to show images. So I want you to take a picture of you, picture of your computer. Now I'll show you this, and it's not a picture, sorry, it's a print screen, which is a digital image of your computer screen that you'll be using for this course. And this is also for me to know how many of you are using Windows, how many of you are using Mac, Linux, something else possibly. And then I'll show you this, how to embed it in your replies. So the hint here is we're going to be using Github that we've already been playing with to do this. Okay. Tell me about yourself, what OS you're using for this class, and then update your GitHub and Canvas profile with your picture. And that's just nice because then I get a better, and I think we all get it's just good to do pictures. If for some reason you're uncomfortable, chat with me and we can talk about alternatives. And in this case, you have 2 replies. Just like I said before, in this case, I wouldn't grade this work until you have 2, and substantive means of substance. Don't just put, hey, glad you're here, which by the way is a good start, but not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for more of a substantive reply. Okay, so the picture of you, I think should be pretty easy because I was looking on my Google Photos and I'm like, okay, here's a photo I've taken, and I'm going to go here and I'm going to hit download, and I'm going to just bring this to my local system. And I'm going to, now that I have it locally, right, I could, now in this case, you don't have to do this part, but it's good and we will learn it over time because built into the Mac, there is a size, so I can adjust the actual pixels. So if you don't know, all images are made of pixels down and pixels across. The more pixels, the bigger the resolution. So on Windows, this is also true. There's something built in there. Again, you don't have to. I just like to show this because I think it's just, if you don't know how to do it natively, you may have some app that does it. And this is some app, I suppose, like 500. Again, not required. Now, the other thing I like to do here is I like to give it a name that makes sense to me, right? So I'm going to say Rio Waller. It's a JPEG. So the key would be for me to understand where that file is located right now. Okay, so that's the image of me. Now on my Mac, I'm going to guess it's in my downloads, and there it is. Very commonly, because you're using Chrome, that's where you will see it. Now the picture of the print screen is really just a picture, so to speak, of your desktop. So one thing I think is good to do is, like, I'm going to do about the Mac. On the Windows, there's a similar thing just to show you about what version of Windows and some of your specs. So on the Mac, we do have a special keyboard, which I have to remember, which is there. There is a full keyboard function for just doing the whole print screen, and I want the whole screen. Now I have multiple screens, but in this case, I just want one. Now, in my example here, it's going to go into my desktop. I only know that because I've done this before. If you don't know how to do a print screen for Windows, definitely just Google print screen Windows. You will find all kinds of stuff. There's built-in things now to do it. It's called the snipping tool. But again, on my Mac and again on your system, you could go into size. Now, I'm going to say this one more time. These are optional. I'm just going to make them the same size so they show up a little smaller in my, now this is not actual size. I think this, or it might be. So now I'm going to do file, save. And in this case, oh, I should have done a file rename. Should come up, might be behind it here. Let me do this. Oh yeah, it wasn't selected. It wasn't on the preview. I'm going to do a rename. Oh, it highlights the top. Rio's desktop. Mac. Actually, I could do dash Mac. MPG. And very good. I forgot. So it's a really good point. Is print screens are often saved as a PNG, which is a more common and a compressed formatted file better suited for this. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it as PNG. And what I did is I just typed JPG, which is a typical photo extension. But either way is fine for this example. We'll learn more about this later on in the class. So what I want to know, though, is where these two files are located. And the reason I want to know that is that I'm going to put them up on GitHub. Okay, so let's go to GitHub. Let's go to our organization. These are public because everyone needs to be able to see them. And now I'm going to have you create a new folder. Now for the day assignment, we didn't. So let's go ahead and do file, and I'm going to upload a file. Here's the difference. And when I upload the file, oh, actually I should have done this. I'm going to cancel. I'm not going to do this yet. And I'll show you why. Because I'm going to have to create this folder first. Okay. So let's do let me just do, I was just realizing, I think I can just do IMG for images. Let's save changes. Yeah, it won't let me do it there. Okay. I'm sure it's been a little while since I've had to do them on this side because normally I do them. But here's the reality, and you're just watching me kind of learn, which is part of what happens. So I am going to do a upload file. I'm going to choose, I bet here in a minute I can change this, upload files. And now I remembered I had one in my downloads, which was my picture of me. So there's that one. I'm going to go ahead and upload. Good, it's uploading it. And then I'm going to choose file again. In this case, I'm going to use desktop. I'm going to find that. This is my print screen. Upload here. Oh, it's not giving me the option. Okay. Well, let me go ahead and commit those changes in. So now that I have them here, because I should have been able to move them. Okay, we'll do that later. I think it's a good, actually, it's, again, easier to do on the desktop, and I'm sure, go to file, see, I want to play around and find it, but just know that my intention was to create a folder for that. But again, not a big deal. Okay, so now we have both the print screen of me and a print screen of the computer. And now we're going to show you how to do the embed. And don't just upload these into Canvas without doing this step, because if you don't do the step where you're actually putting them in GitHub, you get some points off. So you don't want that to happen. So let me come in here and I'm going to do the picture. Well, let's see. I want the picture of me on top. So let me do that one first. So here's the image of me. And here's how I recommend to do this. There's actually multiple ways you could do this, but I'm going to say right click. I'm going to say open image in a new tab. Now, why do I do that? I do that so that over here, I get a URL that Canvas will know how to render that image. Okay, so I'm going to copy that. I'm going to come back to Canvas. In my reply now, I'm going to use, I could either write code, which you will do soon in this class, but I could just use this interface to say upload images. But what we're going to do is not upload, we're going to reference them as far as a URL. Now, this is really the most common way to do things rather than to upload, because uploading adds that file size to whatever you're uploading to. And in this case, we don't need to do that because we've already placed it out on the web. Now we're just telling it, go find it here. So I will paste that in, right? Give it my alt text is good for screen readers. You'll learn about this. And then just go ahead and hit submit. So when you do that, it places that image, and I'm just going to now hit enter. So I get me a new line. And by the way, go back into the HTML to see that I could have just written this code by hand. As a matter of fact, let's do the next one that way because I think it's a little more fun. Okay. So there's two ways. I could either just type, now, by the way, paragraph is just a new line. So I could do what they're doing here. I don't have a tab, so I could just do open imjsrc equals quote, and then there's a long text line, and then there's end quote, and then there's a alt equal, and I'm going to do that again because what I'm going to do is come back and fill this out. Okay, now let's go back here. I'm going to go back here, and now I'm going to grab that other image, which is here. Oh, that was me. My bad. We're actually going to grab my desktop this time. So now my PNG, my desktop Mac, we're going to do something similar. Open in a new tab. Go over here. Grab that URL. Come, and all I'm doing is actually clicking in here. And if you do multiple clicks, it does. But if you just do Alt A, I think it will Control A maybe on the Windows, Apple Command A on the Mac. And then you come back here. And then I'm going to place that right between the quotes. Now, you could also, if you're having a problem, do this on the other way we did it. Again, I'm in markdown mode here. Ria's Mac desktop. Okay. Now watch what will happen when I go back here and I scroll down now. I see both of these things. I probably should have made this one a little bigger so I could have made out. Yeah, do that. So if you do, you don't have to change it. It could be a larger image. That's okay. But it's nice to be able to see. So I can kind of see from a distance this is a Mac. So now you're almost done. Underneath all this, right? What you want to do, and I'm just going to do this here, is now you're going to write something, right? So you're going to tell us about yourself, what operating system you're using for this course. Oh, two more things. Update your GitHub and your Canvas profiles. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I can't hit save. I can hit post here. And then under my account, under Canvas here, profile. Oh yeah, because I'm in student mode, so I can't do it. Let me leave student mode here. So my profile, same would be for yours. Profile, no registered settings. Let's go to settings and see if it's here. E-profile. They've moved it. I would have thought it'd been right there. Maybe I was, I bet, yes. See, you got to roll over it when you do that. In this case, you can upload. There are other systems you could do this as well. You could take a picture here. You could upload that picture. You want to do that piece so that you have it. Okay. So that's for Canvas. And then for GitHub, what you want to do here is go back into your, like for me, right? So now under here, you can come over to this right side and go to I think it's probably your profile. And under your profile, let me guess, is there's change. I was going to say, yep, something similar, and then you hit edit. So you don't have to have those images be the same thing. It's really up to you. But I do want you to have something that represents you in both Canvas and in GitHub. All right, so at this point, all you have to do now is do the replies to your fellow students, and you will have finished your first week in our class. Good job. Congratulations. Glad you're here. And now, by now, I'm guessing I will have already loaded week 2, And if I did, which by the way, your writings would go down here. If I did, then you can start on week 2. Thanks for following along. Hope this was helpful.